Hi, this is Jeff, and on this episode of Good Reads, I wanted to cover Elven Issue number 1 from 1995. Now, Elven was an ultra as opposed to a hero in the Ultraverse that was created and published by Malibu Comics. And there are a lot of great videos on YouTube, so I won't go into the full history of Malibu Comics. Definitely check it out. There were a lot of characters that were created. Malibu ran from the late 80s, and then there was a period of about 4 years of the Ultraverse where these characters were created. On the cover you have two, Prime, who's bear-hugging Elven and restraining her, with the subtitle Prime's Little Sister. But this was the first issue of Elven in her own title, and she was an Ultra as part of the Ultraverse of characters. Now, every comic book's a time capsule, and in 1995, apparently, this movie Candyman, I kind of recall, was coming out at the theaters. The story opens with a pimp roughing up one of his working girls in an alley, and by the second page, we have our first appearance of Elven, the warrior kind of princess that basically comes to the rescue, and not only does she pull him off of the victim, but she proceeds to rough him up to the point that someone grabs her hand to stop her in this panel below. As it turns out, it's Prime, and here is the splash page and title for this issue, Eye for an Eye, Pain for Pain. Think about what you're doing. Now you pay the price. So she turns her fury on Prime with her little magic ray there. So they were imbued with these powers through some kind of genetics and a virus. In the Ultraverse, there's a whole lore and mythology that they created. Len Straczewski was one of the writers that had been with Malibu from the start, and Aaron Lopresti was the penciler on this issue. Moving forward, there's a big battle scene between like a brother and sister fighting, but if they were superhuman beings. And then the story switches to the alter ego of Elven is a little girl, and this is the backstory of her family life and how it was a troubled family life. And the story continues with Elven, the sludge or whatever it is, as she transforms from Elven back to her true self. And Prime takes her back to her bed. Now here's a little interlude because you notice in this full page ad, be prepared, you have Marvel and Malibu Comics on the same ad. Ultraverse and Malibu Comics are registered trademarks. Doom, Loki, Thanos, Magneto with Marvel. So at this point in 95, Marvel was beginning to take over Malibu Comics, but here they are side by side, and here you see the villains are all Marvel villains in the Ultraverse comic book. So then, I'm not sure, I don't remember. Elvia is her name. The girl, and Elven is her ultra alter ego. And here's a rendition of, that this is Elvia, and here's her alter ego, Elven, the warrior princess. So her mother comes in to put her back to sleep, and then the next day at the story switches to a therapist's office, and this little boy is in therapy. Well, he's also an Ultra, and this is his kind of, they either, in the Ultraverse, they either were heroes or villains. He apparently has a little bit more of a demonic villain. And I don't know if this creature has a name. And then as he leaves the therapist, Elvia is in the waiting room waiting to be seen. So they cross paths, and the therapist tries to hypnotize her to bring out her Ultra identity. And there's this beautiful 2-page spread, and it flashes back to where Bruno is his name. Bruno is kind of giving the receptionist a hard time, and his Ultra ego comes out and startles her. A little interlude. Here's another ad with Thor. And again, Marvel and Malibu on the same advertisement. So they had either merged or were about to merge. Marvel did some cross mashups between the Marvel characters and the Ultraverse Malibu characters for a period of a couple years, and then that was it. No more Ultras, no more Ultraverse after approximately 1996 or 7. So he hears the ruckus and comes out and sees that Bruno, or his Ultra, has emerged and is levitating the receptionist in the air. Elvia becomes Elven. They engage in a battle, and which proceeds over a couple pages. They're still fighting, and the Ultra, he kind of vomits the Ultra out, which is, I haven't read enough to understand how this works, but I've seen this before in some of these comic books. And they can separate, maybe, I don't know, but that's how it ends. That's how the story ends. To be continued. And then the comic book itself ends with another advertisement for Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions, and a 2-page spread where they had a contest to create Ultras, and this was the grand prize winner, The Persuaders by Jeffrey Hudson of Las Vegas, Nevada, and the grand prize, this contest was for this winner's creation to be for them to create a comic book around this team, the Persuaders. Did it happen? I don't know. That would be something to check. It would be kind of fun to see and find if this ever made it to print. And then a form to fill out for the 1994 Fan Awards. And here is a page showing all the current titles. So these were some of the other Ultras: the Nightman, which was Steve Englehart. Prototype, The Solution, Steve Englehart again on The Strangers, Freaks, Hard Case, Mantra, which I've seen that Mantra, Adam Hughes is credited with creating this character. There's probably some interesting history there because that would have been early in his career. And then here you see The God Wheel, which is a mashup of Marvel and Mike W. Barr on this part 4. It was a little mini series apparently, and they're showing issues 3 and 4 here. So very interesting period in comic book history, and an interesting comic book. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Goodreads. This has been Jeff with Magnitude 10 Comics, magnitude10comics.com. And while I've still got you, don't forget, please register to win. We're at 60 subscribers. When we hit 100 subscribers to the Magnitude 10 YouTube channel, I will be randomly selecting one lucky winner to receive this graded 9.8 CGC graded Dazzler comic book. Jason Liu's story, Rafael Luero art, and a Derek Chu cover. Hopefully the camera does it justice. It's a beautiful cover, and no purchase is necessary. Be sure to register. Tell your friends to register, and we hit 100, we'll keep going, but this will be the first giveaway for Magnitude 10 Comics YouTube channel. So I do appreciate it, and as always, enjoy your comic books. Feel free to comment or contact me with your comments, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Goodreads.